Welcome back, family, friends, and fans. It is Karma Lately. Welcome, guys. If you have not seen my most recent video, the challenge video, please go and do so, because what we're talking about in this video is how I can help you guys to win the prize. And so it is guess what I'm making and you will win it. And so basically what we have to do right now, we kind of have to go into the video a little bit. I still encourage you guys to see the video and see what this is all about and see what happens in the end. But if you didn't catch it, anytime that I give you guys a challenge from here on in, by the way, always look at the ruler in the video challenge, because you're going to need to know the dimensions. And for a challenge video, I'm not going to say never. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to say what the dimensions are. You kind of have to pay attention to that. And in order for you to figure out what scale this is in, and I'll explain scale in a minute, you need to know the dimensions, the measurements. And so here I'm making some marks at the 1/2 inch mark on the ruler, and I'm making a perimeter. Pause it right there. I'm making a perimeter, and that is the measurement that we're going to be going by. So this ruler is a little different than some rulers that you might have seen, and this is a inch ruler. And here's at this corner is going to be the 0 mark. And so let's get the length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So almost 5 inches. And 1, 2, 3 and a half. So this item, for the most part, most of them are 5 inches long and 3.5 inches wide. Why do we need to know this? Because we're going to talk about scale. And I used to teach art theater to children, and we used to do dollhouses and dioramas and puppets and a lot of different things, props for our plays. And one of the things that always came up was scale. And the way that I used to like to explain it, scale is really a world. And so the human scale references our human world. Chairs, windows, clothing, people, trees, books, cups, tables, everything that we have in our human world is created to scale, to our scale. So if you look at a book, let's see what an average book size is. Oh, actually, I know what an average book size is. Let's just say a book is about 6 by 9 inches. Imagine if someone gave you a 50-inch by 40-inch book, or a 50 by 55-inch book. That would be a huge book. It'd be massive. I don't know too many people that have a 50-inch book in their home, and if they do, I bet they don't have 2 of them. So maybe it's a museum, maybe it's a pop-up, or maybe it's just an art piece. Typically, books are not that big, so it's not comfortable for us. So every scale has some rules, and we all have to figure out, as architects of our worlds, what those rules are. And that's what these numbers are for. And so all of these scales are referencing the human scale. So there's no scale here that does not reference the human world, because these numbers that they got was based off of our world. So the size, let's say for the collector scale, the 1 inch equals a foot scale, or the 1/12 scale, is also called the Queen Mary's or the collector's scale. And in this scale, let's say let's say in the human world, an average person, an average male is 6 inches tall. In the 1/12 scale, in our world, an average male is 6 feet tall. In this scale, an average male would be 6 inches tall. So do you see how the scale is basically just referencing human scale? It always will. So let's go back here. The 1/48 scale, that's the railroad scale. Most collectors and model makers for railroads and stuff like that, they'll do models between 124 and 148. And 124 and 148. Those are the typical of that scale. This is really small stuff we're talking about here. If you can see, the average door is 1 inch and 7/8 of an inch tall. The 124 scale, I don't know if you guys noticed on YouTube, there's a lot of like kits and dollhouse kits from China and people doing these meticulous kits. Those are coming in the 116 through 124 scales. They don't mention it here on this chart, but there's the 118 scale as well. And so these kits come in those scales typically. Very difficult to work with still. I mean, the average door size is 5.5 inches. The average in 116, the average chair size in 124 is 1.5 inches tall. So imagine all the fine details for a book or a cup or a spoon. All of those things will be minuscule. And so those scales are very challenging to work with. But what's great about those smaller scales from 116 through 148, you're using less materials and they occupy less space. And so this is really great in that sense. Then, and don't worry, I'm going to help you guys figure out scale. 112 scale, like I mentioned before, that's the collector scale. In this scale, a lot of things are not glued down. A lot of things are fluid. Doors open, drawers open, doors work, windows open. Majority of the time, everything works in the collector scale, and that's why people collect these. And usually collectors like to build them themselves. These types of dollhouses can be worth thousands and thousands of dollars if done with good craftsmanship. The average chair height would be 3 inches, which means that in our world, the average chair height would be 3 feet, because in this case, 1 inch equals a foot. Then we have the Barbie scale, which is super common and popular. Everybody knows. If you're talking to a child, you'll call it the Barbie scale. If you're talking to an adult, a parent of a child, you'd call it the play scale. But it's also, for some of us who create these dollhouses, we call it the 1/6 scale or the fashion scale, because we don't just use Barbies in this type of dollhouse or in this world. We also use Blythe dolls. We use any doll that is 11, where an adult is 11 inches through maybe 12.5 inches or even 13 inches. Because as you can see, the average door size should be 15 inches high. Is it always? No. A lot of times I've seen dollhouses being done in this scale, and the door height is just above Barbie's head. And Barbie's 11.5 inches. Sometimes the door looks like it's about 12.5 inches. That's a little low for Barbie, and also just scale-wise. But you want to feel it out. I think the reason why some people do that is sometimes they want to use less space. They want to make the floor they want to make that level a little lower, or they want to use less material. They want to do a very simple project, just so that you get the idea. But if you're going to do a serious dollhouse, you do need to have the right scale so that the perception looks right, and so that everything in that world looks like our world, just on a smaller scale. Do you see what I'm talking about? So for calculating scale, what you want to do is let's get out our calculator, and we're going to get out our calculator here, and let's start digging into Google here. So let's pull up a sofa, and I'm going to get a cute sofa here. We're on Wayfair. Let's get the full details of this one. Weights and dimensions. This is my world here. This is what we want. Okay, so I want to get the longest number. So this, in this sofa, this is going to be called the width, but it is the longest number. And so the width here is 86 inches, and it's 34 inches deep. Now let's just do the Barbie scale. So if it's 86 inches wide and 34 inches deep, meaning the chair cushion is 34 inches deep from front to back, let's go to our calculator. And don't forget, the Barbie scale is 1/6. So remember the 6. That's the number we need. Anytime you're going to make a calculation for scale, you must always use the human measurement first, and then calculate with the scale number, which would be, in this case, 6, as 1/6 is the Barbie scale. So we're going to take that 86 width, and let's just simply divide it by 6. 14.3 inches. Ooh, that's a big. So think about your ruler. Your ruler is 12 inches. Most rulers are 12 inches long. You would need 2 more inches. So it would be the width of that ruler plus 2 more inches. Now, remember, where are we? Where's the sofa? See if we can, here it is. So this, when they say 14 inch, so we have to make this 14 inches wide. Hold on, let's get the exact calculation. 14.3, so almost 14 and a half, but let's just say 14 inches wide. Let's just round down. That's not just the seat. That is including this outer perimeter of fabric outside of the seat. So they're saying it's 14 inches from here to here. That's important for you to know, because you don't want to make it 14 inches the chairs, and then you have more inches left over. Then it won't be the exact replica of this. If you want to make the exact replica of this, you'd have to take note that it would be 14 inches from one end to the other. So super important to pay attention to. Let's try something else. Let's do, oh, perfect. I know exactly what we're going to do. So for our video, we had a comment by Maritza Velasquez. Maritza Velasquez is a dear old best friend of mine from, well, we were born into our friendship because our sisters were already best friends before we were born. And when we were born, our parents used to dress us up together, play dress up with us like we were dolls, because we were super cute and chubby. And they'd put similar dresses on us, take pictures of us. We don't even remember. We just see pictures. So we are now basically sisters. And she's very supportive of the channel. And here is, she guessed menus. And remember, guys, this is a judgment-free zone. My channel, I do not allow bullying of any kind. So there is no judgment allowed here. And anyone who will judge will not be allowed to stay here. So menus is what she guessed. Now let's go back to my video so we can understand why she said menus. And the main reason she said menus is because if you notice, everything that I am doing has food or something edible in it. Sorry, there's an ad. the ad. So everything that I'm doing here has food, and technically it's a similar shape for a menu. Let's look at menus. So let's go here, let's go to Google. Actually, let's go to Canva. Canva does menus. Let's go on the search bar and we're going to say menu. And we're going to look for, I want a one-page menu. This looks good. This looks good. That looks long. Okay. Let's go to resize so we can see what measurement it is. It's in centimeters. Actually, don't want to work in centimeters right now. Hold on. Let's see this one. Go to resize. Come on, give me inches. Here we go. Okay, so the menu is 8.5 by 11 inches, which is the size of your typing paper, right? So I'm going to get rid of this very well-designed menu. And I am going to go and I am going to look for, we're going to work in the Barbie scale right now. And I'm going to get this fabulous Barbie. And I'm going to bring her all the way down. What I love about Canva is it lets you know when you're all the way to the bottom because it creates that purple line at the bottom. So now I found the purple line, so I know she's at the bottom. And like I said, Barbies are usually 11.5 inches. In this case, this paper is only 11 inches high. So I'm going to only make Barbie 11 inches high. And that means she's just 5 inches shorter than the average height. So that means she's about my height in the real world. And so in the Barbie scale, the average woman is 11.5 inches. And in the human scale, the average woman is 5.5 inches. But in this case, Barbie is 5 inches shorter than that. So she's only 11 inches. And in my case, I'm about 5 inches shorter than the average height. So she's about my height right now. Still an adult size, but just a shorter adult. And then, so now we're going to go and we're going to look for menus. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick this one, even though I don't like the top of the menu. So I'm going to crop it. Sorry, I'm going to highlight the menu. Let's crop that top part. I don't want that in my measurement. Done. Okay. This menu looks too big for Barbie. Let's see what the size of it is. It's about 2.5 inches wide, 3.7 inches tall. Looks like it's too big for her though. I mean, that's a pretty big menu. So, what we're going to do is get our calculator. Canva told us that the average menu is about 8.5 inches by 11. So if we take the 8.5 and divide it by 6, we get 1.4. And if we take the 11 divided by 6, we get 1.8. So 1.8, 1.4 inches. So let's scale this down to get it as close to that as possible. The height should say 1.8 or 1.9 should be fine. Let's see. Let's get that width a little higher. Okay, so this is about the same. It's 1.9 and 1.3. And we were looking for 1.4 and 1.8. So it's just off by a little bit, but look at the size. It's perfect for Barbie. That means that our calculations are correct. The calculator is correct and our formula is correct. So that is the average height. Now, Maritza said, let's just say, this is the biggest scale. Let's just say that my pieces here are menus. So if that were true, we said that my menus were 5 inches by 3.5. So let's get this menu to look like it's 5 inches by 3.5. 5, close enough, 5.1 by 3.4. this is what that menu would look like in front of Barbie. So then it could not be this. So then that means that my pieces can't be menus for Barbie. And they can't be menus. I'm sorry, and they're not menus. I just wanted to answer that. They're not menus for any scale. Because part of this challenge is also guessing correctly. So you have to know what it is that I'm going to ultimately finish making, and then you have to also guess what scale it's in. So for what doll, or is it for humans? Is it for humans, and then what is it? Or is it for dolls, and then what is it? So which scale is it? The human scale, the 1/6 scale for Barbie, the collector scale, and so on and so forth. But I chose the biggest scale to show you what it looks like with Barbie, and this is what the item would look like in front of Barbie, and it's just too big for her. So that's how you guys would figure that out. The other clue that I'm going to give you is that I'm going to be using coffee stirrers, and I'm going to be using, to complete this project, I'll be using coffee stirrers, I'll be using clear plastic sheets, and everything is going to be to the size of the perimeter that I told you. So coffee stirrers to the perimeter, the plastic clear sheets to the perimeter, and also cardboard. Those are the three materials that I'm going to be using to complete this project. And like I said, there's 6 of them. They're not perfect, but there's 6 of them here, and they are going to be finished with those tools. So I hope that this was helpful in any kind of capacity. If you are looking to start making doll houses and you want to start learning the basics, I'm gonna put the links to these websites. Also, I gave you guys the measurements. If you find, like, say you found a sofa and it's not giving you the inches, and you don't want to convert let's say it's giving it to you in feet, the simplest way to do it, so in this case, let's say the item is 12 feet in real life and you're working in the Barbie scale again, it's 24 inches. And the way to figure that out is quite simple. You just get your calculator, and what we're going to do is, so it's 12 feet in real life. How many inches are in a foot? There's 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 12 times 12 equals 144, and then we're going to divide it by 6. And that's how they got 24. Now, and that's only if the item that you found, they're giving it to you in feet. A lot of times they'll do that, like for windows and doors, they'll say, oh, this door is 7 feet. So if the door is 7 feet in the 1 inch equals a foot scale, then all you would have to do is multiply 12 times the 7, and then divide it by 12, which is the scale, and it's 7 inches. 7 feet in the real life and 7 inches in the collector scale, which is, like I said, is the easiest scale to calculate. So that's that. But if you found it in inches, like I did, I found that sofa in inches, which was convenient. That's super easy. You just divide it. 86 divided by, in this case, the collector scale, we'll say divided by 12, and the width of that sofa would have been 7 inches for the collector scale. So when you find it in inches, it's the easiest formula to do. And that's all scale is. It's just a world, and it's worlds that we create. We're all architects of these worlds, and and that's how we come up with everything. But everything is based off of the human scale. And by the way, my sister is an architect, and that's how I learned when I was younger. She's younger than me. She was in school learning architecture, and studying architecture, and at the same time was a professor teaching architecture and AutoCAD. And so she's who I learned scale from. But I still had to do a lot of research and do more things because I was sneaking into classes that I shouldn't have been sneaking into. And yeah, so, but she's an architect in the human world. In our world, she's an architect. But for those of us who are creating dollhouses in these other worlds, we're the architect of that world. And it's important to know the measurements. And so for this challenge, it's important for you guys to understand scale, understand the measurements of this, which is 5 by 3.5, and figure out what you think this could be. All right? So coffee stirrers, plastic sheets, and cardboard are the materials that I'm going to use to complete these. And remember, one of you is going to be the lucky winner to receive one of these. And I'm sorry that I couldn't give you the whole collection because I'm actually using this for another project. So thank you guys so much for your patience, for tuning in. I love how attentive everyone is. I know TikTok is all about fast, 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 but there's still a lot of us that like detailed videos, and I'm glad that there's still a community out there that appreciates a good detailed video. So if you like what you see on my channel, please check the playlist. Don't forget to share my videos, like, subscribe, comment below, take your guess for the challenge. Good luck. I'm announcing the winner next week, Wednesday, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.